Okay, let's try this again. Please, if someone's on, let me know whether or not the sound is working. It looks like it's working now. I don't know. It's like I can't even blame retrograde. I really can't. It's like I forget to check, when I post, and it every now and again it likes to change the setting on me. I don't change the setting. It's always the fucking same. But it's like, you go on autopilot and what happens? You're talking for like 10 minutes and then you all of a sudden look down at the comments and people say, we're not hearing anything. So, like I said, it's a grounding issue. So I'm clearing myself. This is a little Palo Santo. It's just in an instance. It's like, I feel like, there's a lot of crazy energy going on right now. It's hard to stay present. It's hard to stay present sometimes especially when you are in an emotional connection with people, or you're going through a hard time within your life, right? Any experience that makes us feel as if we're inadequate, that there's something wrong, or that we feel like something should happen. We just feel unsettled. That's kind of like the energy today. And we never know why that energy is what it is. But I'll tell you, it's because when you're interactive with other people, a lot of times we transfer energy. So this is why it's really important to be able to decipher whose energy is whose, and if you're connected to someone on a lower vibration, how you can deal with them. And any person that's emotionally not intelligent is someone that's on a lower vibration. It's someone that can't be transparent, someone that doesn't really know what they want, someone that doesn't really know who they are. So understand, these readings are here to, like, not just show you how you could possibly balance out the energy, which you say, I can make this person actually uh, raise their vibration. Well, yes, but a lot of times it's by you raising your vibration, and then by then you're no longer a vibrational match. That's the thing. That's why it's karmic. Karmic means, haha, sucker. You thought that you were going to play games for a long period of time. Well, I got tired of your bullshit. I put the energy into me, evolve, and now you like who I am because you are liking what I've created, but you weren't a part of that. And now I don't hold a vibrational resonance to you. It's again karmic. That person finally learns. When understand, they usually don't learn. They're the person that comes in and out. They're the person you're dealing with, shadows, people that tend to come across a little narcissistic. Oh, good. I'm so glad. I can't believe that happened. It's lack of groundedness, but I go right into the psychic realm. That's just what happens. I was excited to come on. And then, of course, that happens. And then Spirit says, because it's a block. Like, I know it's a block. I don't have a block in the spiritual realm. I have a block in the physical realm. It's, again, like that kind of shit. It's like, where it's like, well, you should check. Where it's like, no, I'm excited. I got excited. That's what happens, right? You get excited, and then it's like you're looking at what you want it to be, and then of course there's no sound. It's like, well, that's not the way that it was supposed to be. And Spirit says the expectation creates an emotional discorded energy, right? We have to be non-resistant. So if we really want something, or we don't know whether we want something, it's the same energy. You're holding on to a cognitive dissonance where you're like, oh no, I want it, I'm passionate about it. And Spirit says, yes, but the excitement, highly sensitive people have the power to, like, literally short out their computers, like be on the phone and get excited, and all of a sudden the phone drops. You're like, are you there? Are you there? I was just telling you a story. How long were you gone for? And it's like, oh yeah, we got excited. Especially if it's two psychic people, because everything's energy. It's like you have to realize, and your nervous system works really on electricity. It's crazy. The word of the video is victim. So again, you're connected to someone that I feel like expected you to come and save them. So they're in this victim state consciousness, but they weren't good to you. They weren't nice to you. So it's almost like this person is used to dealing with people on a lower vibrational frequency, is what I'm feeling. So people usually come in and they rescue them. They fix them because, they act so arrogant before. They live by their facades and their mask. And this is not what's happening, like I said. And that's why I channeled what I channeled in the beginning of, you have people that are arrogant, and instead of like surrendering to unconditional love and honoring the connection, it's like they didn't want to look at the connection for what the relationship was. They wanted to be in party time. They wanted to be in their ego. They wanted to get fulfilled. They only cared about themselves. They didn't care what they did to you. So now again, your life looks great because of course this person, like, I feel like stalks. They're not emotionally intelligent. I looked over, I saw narcissism, but I'm going to shuffle because I'm like, I feel like a very dark energy, which is again stubborn. They were stubborn. That meaning like, I don't want to apologize. I don't want to look at things from your perspective, my way or the highway. They kind of had this persona again, like you're disposable because there's so many other people that want me. I have a lot of options. I don't feel like they think that they have a lot of options now. I feel like they're in a different place. And I feel like that's what it is. It's like, so they acted, like I said, perfect, but a person that tries to be perfect, it's guilt ridden, and they usually have a lot of shame because we don't try to be perfect. It's like everybody has their own gift to style. Everybody has their unique unfoldment process of finding who they are. It's like, if you're so busy trying to be perfect, it means you're wearing a lot of masks. It means that you're not letting people in on an emotional level. It means that you have major intimacy issues. And people that have intimacy issues just are avoidant. And it's the avoidant that there's a little bit of this narcissism to it, which is, I don't really care. So this person, again, came across like they thought who they were. And again, in that, I feel like they did betray you because it's like there was this connection, this strong connection that they really should have given to. Now it's like, I feel like how you dealt with this person, you just put your time and energy into yourself. I look over here, I see the gift, the cycle of life. The card underneath it is the genius. So the genius is that creative mind, that supernatural mind. That's when you began to co-create. A lot of times these relationships that are traumatic because you think that they're this soulmate love relationship and you have so much love to give, but you're not realizing that the same person, it's not that they don't desire that, but the way that they show love is going to be different. Their traumas are different. And feeling this deep love, I feel like this person shut down. That was very traumatizing to you. It put you into that supernatural mind. The genius part of self is that God part of self, which trauma, right? They say the child that survives thrives. Why? Because it pushes us into our imagination. It hurts too much to think about why that person, and also emotionally it would take you down if you would just focus on it. And so you have to find another passion. And that's when we again go into this genius part of self. And so I feel like, yeah, now the tables have turned because, hey, they actually pushed you into this energy to help you become yourself. They were stubborn. And in that is like, we're going to look and see how they were stubborn and what else they did. Hey, Dark and Lovely and Diane, and I'll read all your comments after. I just can't channel and read comments at the same time. Again, manipulator. So again, this person, I feel like they do want to come back. But again, dealing with this person, they're not going to be transparent. They're going to leave certain things out of their conversation. They strategize. That's the problem. There's a soul connection, but that soul connection scares this person because they are like, I don't really understand it. I don't understand it. I don't want it to have control over me. It doesn't logically make sense. Relationships just don't work out, mainly because of how they are. So again, but when you're in this genius energy, you're just, again, this energy of unconditional love, because you're co-creating with the universe when you are in that super genius part of your mind. It's not the logical part of mind, the survival mind. It's more the intuitive, the creative mind. So it's, again, it makes this person feel a lack. So again, they manipulate because I feel like they can actually see that you're on a different vibration. They might not know that terminology though. I feel like this person isn't like, oh, they're on a different vibration, but they're like, you're too good for me. It's like, I see that you're too good for me, but I still want what I want, and I want to get it the way that I feel like I can get it without having to give. That's because this person's heart is closed. Their heart is closed because their relationships don't work out. And their relationships don't work out because this is how they navigate the relationships. They're just not used to someone that doesn't fight back, that doesn't fight to stay in their life, that doesn't try to manipulate. Again, they normally pull people that have their energy, that's on a lower consciousness. And maybe at the time, your self-esteem wasn't where it should be. And from going into this energy, now your self-esteem is. So you're like kind of like looking at this person almost like you're a different person. Like, what the hell are you doing? What is this? And so it's making that person have to look at themselves, and that's embarrassing. I mean, think about it. This person's like, I need you to chase me. I want you to give to me without me giving anything. Like, I mean, it's a low character. But then again, remember how this started. This person thought who they were. So that's an oxymoron. You think who you are and how great you are, but your heart is so closed. You're a phony. You're a fake. You don't really want to build anything. You're one just big facade. You're a mask. And that's what this person knows. And that's why they're angry. But they're angry to begin with, even before that happened. There's only two energies, love and fear. And that fear over time, like it feels uncomfortable. It's easier to be angry. It's easier to be angry because then you can wear it like armor and protect yourself. And that's like this person's ego was like what it was. But that's because they're damaged inside. So your energy of like becoming unconditional love and living your path and not being affected. Well, like I said, I didn't pull narcissist, but something told me I should have. But I was like, but it was right there. And then Spirit said, well, you didn't. So I said, but I pulled the other ones. But then the narcissism, the energy is there. But maybe if I didn't pull it, maybe this person just has a spiritual imbalance and they're not really 100% narcissistic. They just don't know any other way to be. And that's going to happen if you grow up in a family where you just adapted to those patterns. Again, inner child healing. And that's what I feel like. It's like that they grew up in that environment. So they created that persona at such a young age. And so in that, they try to stalk out people that they feel don't know their worth. It doesn't mean that, they don't know your worth. It means that they think that you don't know your worth. And so they know that by how much time you give them. Family patterns. Didn't I tell you? I was like, that's exactly what heal inner child wounds from the past. Because if you're taught how to be, but you're, like parents were imbalanced, their relationships were toxic, you're going to think that that's just normal, that it can't happen, that that's all you don't. And even if you say, well, I know that it could be different because I've seen it, you still haven't embodied it. When you grow up in a family where you are watching a toxic marriage like play out, and that's your mother and that's your father, and you love both of them, well, it's again, that gets imprinted on your brain, and it's traumatic. And you don't think that it is, but understand, if the parents were so caught up in that, they couldn't give you any emotional support because they were dealing with their own emotional support. So you were feeling the pain, and you were feeling the pain on a different level. So the problem with that is, how do you manifest? Through the thoughts that you think, the emotions that you have, and you've embodied that emotion, what a bad relationship looks like, and then worried about losing yourself many times in the relationship because that's what was perceived. So you would see a person that, has commitment issues, that has intimacy issues. And so the thing is that this person has a desire to have intimate feelings for you, which is on a more emotional level. They're angry about that. They weren't planning on that. But if anything, you were the one that was supposed to be affected, not them. So it's bringing out, making them feel a lack again, when really spirit just brings people into our life to teach us, to show us different ways. You're showing this person a different way, and so they do admire it. It's something different. It's something that they are respectful. This person doesn't even respect themselves. It's like, again, too busy running around creating facades. So for them to actually respect, that's a big deal, because it's showing them that they weren't open to the lesson. But spirit said, I don't care that they weren't. At this point, it's like the karma that this person's racking up, from being the way that they are, is bad. But the universe is always going to bring people and situations and experiences that give the person an opportunity to redeem themselves, because our God, which is the universe, is a loving God. So it's, again, and it's ubiquitous. It's able to work through us to heal us, and that's even our mind. But the person has to be seen. They have to be that. Where, again, earth is life, meaning the lessons, the karmic lessons are that they have the power to diminish the chi within us, which is spirit, which is the oxygen, which is the prana, which is life force. And it also has the power to diminish energy. This person is used to being with people that diminish energy, because that's what they grew up in. You're someone that gives energy, because you're in the supernatural mind. You're in the genius part of self, the God part of self, which is unconditional love. So this person doesn't understand it. It logically doesn't fucking make sense. And the spirit says, no, it's good, because this person would then just justify. They can't justify. It doesn't make sense, but they can't deny it, the feeling. So it's almost like confuses them. But then it forces them to go back and look at their own actions, which is, again, betrayal. So how can I get what I want, which I want to come towards you, but it's, again, I know that you're not really going to be open to letting me come towards you. So again, more of the strategy. And again, inner child wounds of feeling not good enough. That's why a person acts perfect, right? A person acts perfect because of that. Meanwhile, I want you to know this, how it started with this person acting like the victim, because you're not like in their life. When meanwhile, it's making them do the deep dive into self, because you're like, I'm going to let you eat your karma. I'm going to let you, like, again, I'm not going to be there to fix it. I'm not doing anything for you. Again, I feel like this person, like, you're not prejudiced in the fact of like that because of this person's culture. It's more or less, I feel like you're like, I'm just not going to let people in my life at this point that bring my energy down. And so this person is kind of looking at you because they're seeing you different. They're seeing you from a higher vibration. So whenever you are going up through a higher vibration, it's not that they wouldn't just see it because you're creating something. They're seeing it because, oh, you look good. Oh, look, you're hanging out with a lot of different people. Oh, like your life looks different from my perception of what I remember of who you are. Meanwhile, this person didn't really even know who you were because they didn't take the time to really get to know, because they have intimacy issues. So it's almost like, well, why have you been able to change? So it's not like you're prejudiced towards them. You just don't want them in life. See, now this person's going to see everything through, I'm inadequate. There's something wrong with me. You don't want, now you're too good for me. Where it's like, no, it's all the other bullshit that you did. It's like that you don't want to look at. It's don't project it back to me. That's who you are. That's what you did. You felt like you were too good for me in the beginning. But I don't look at people like that, good or bad. And that's what's confusing, because this person knows that, because you're in this mind, and this mind is all about love, because the universe's energy is love. When you're creating and you're in the supernatural mind, you're in the energy of love. You're in a high vibration. You're not looking at anything else. So again, this person is almost like so confused. It's so confused, but they would have to be, because the universe says this person thinks that they're so smart. It's like they think that they're so cocky. They're so smart that I have to make them think. And it's like, otherwise they won't think. So yeah, the catalyst is the desire. I'm attracted to you. It's also, I normally win. It's like I can strategize. I can get over, because I get over people fast. So I don't really want to do the whole commitment. But the thing is, you haven't given this person anything. And that's the thing. They're expelling a lot of energy, and in that, even though it's kind of like betrayal, because it's like, but they're really betraying themselves, because they're cutting themselves off from love. They don't believe they can have love, because again, of their inadequacy. If you come in, you're not going to see that I'm perfect. You're going to see all the lack, and that's going to come across as, I don't really have as much money as I claim to have. My life isn't as good. I've created the persona. Your life is better. Again, money matters. And like I said, like this person that I feel like they have addictions, and that could be gambling. I feel like if somebody gambles a lot, somebody, again, like just wastes money. They go to the bar, they waste money. And so like you would see their addictions. If I let you in, you're going to see it all. And so I'd rather like create the persona. Like when I thought you were someone else, I thought that I could have my cake and eat it too. Now I am seeing that you're not who I thought that you were. I actually like who you are and can actually see myself being with you. But that would actually require me to be vulnerable. And then, like I said, you're not making it easy. No, why are you going to make it easy? This person was a jerk. Like, but it's almost like, oh, but this connection, I feel like this person suppresses their energy. And I feel like you can too, like by using food. So it's not like a full-blown eating disorder, but it would be suppression. Like, oh, I'm bored. Or there's emotions there that you haven't looked at. There are emotions there that this person obviously hasn't looked at. They don't want to. They're going to do everything to avoid having to actually change, right? I mean, because listen, if I'm using alcohol or food or something to avoid the issue, well, you're not going to feel this person as much. So they're actually trying to stonewall you. So again, trigger you to make the first move, which again, that's not going to happen. That would work with somebody that wasn't in the supernatural mind. That's, but not somebody like this. It's again, that's why it triggers their inner child wounds. And it's really about like the family patterns of like who needs to be dominant in a relationship. It's like one person has to, like, be the ruler. You know what I mean? And and the addictions and the betrayal and the way that you even talk to each other over time is all like part of a family karma. It's like having to, like, families and friends and relationships are supposed to bring you into a higher state of consciousness. A lot of times they don't. People get stuck in a trigger and they get stuck in being angry, and instead of looking at themselves and how that lesson could be applied to them. And that could just be, listen, I don't need to be around people that make me feel like shit. Why am I like entertaining this? I'm not going to do it anymore because I only have so much time, energy, focus, and money. I'm going to put the energy towards myself. Then when I change, guess what? I change the environment. And then those people, if they decide to come around again, well, then I'll decide whether or not they stay in my life. And until then, I'm going to attract new and better people that are more in alignment with who I am today, instead of this person that's like, I'm going to try and like manipulate the whole situation. Instead of, it's just an avoidance tactic of, I refuse to let you into my heart. It's like, again, and you can't do anything with that. That's really what it is. It's like, and so like, try and manifest. Here it is, you're in the supernatural mind, like the genius mind, the God part of self, just co-creating, doing what you love. And so this person, like, because they're not healed, they will put themselves like into a competition. I felt like that narcissist energy is that, because when you're with a person that hasn't created themselves, and the person that's wearing masks all the time, they haven't created themselves. That's the problem. It's like you can't wear a mask all the time. So anything that you do that's drawing attention to you, well, it's gonna trigger this person. And what you see is like that sore loser, right? That person that, so you can be around someone that makes you feel bad, like when things happen for you. We're talking that this person's on a lower vibrational frequency because of their inner child wounds, because of their family patterns. The family pattern could be, again, that this person wasn't acknowledged. There was alcoholism, there was whatever. It doesn't even matter what it was, but it kind of helps us to understand why a person does what they do. So that when we are dealing with them, we're looking at their behaviorisms. We're not looking at, this person made me feel, because yes, that's important for you to heal, but to understand that, yeah, that person made me feel that way, but they couldn't have made me feel that way unless that what energy was inside of me before. The reason why they did what they did actually had nothing to do with me. It's, they came into the relationships broken. They've never done shadow healing before, ever. So I feel like it doesn't mean that they didn't have a connection to you, a connection, but we're talking more of a karmic connection, because this person, like I said, I feel like you evolved out of this person's life, or you're about to, because of the supernatural mind. That's why you're in the highest vibration, which again, for somebody that has such a big ego, they've been walking around with those patterns for a long time. They're having to look at themselves. But understand, it doesn't mean that they don't feel certain things on a deeper level, on an emotional level. We're going to see what those things are. And sometimes it'll blow your mind. You'll say, really? Like, okay, clear the illusion of the 3D world. Don't take everything at face value. There's a lot more going on spiritually and energetically than you can see. So I believe, like, again, that you came into this person's life and that like, you're blowing their mind because they're watching you change in front of them. You also didn't get all caught up. It wasn't the drama. Yeah, like, they're dealing with somebody different. And so again, the family patterns are that relationships just don't work out, that relationships are toxic, that You get into a relationship, it's like it's just one big shit show. You lose your money, you lose your identity, but those are facades, because they're not facades. It can be a reality. That was a reality that they grew up in, but that's not the way it has to be. They've never had any other type of connection. They continue to go, like, live out that karmic theme. They inherited it from their parents inherited it from their ancestors and such. So understand, here you're like, you detach from them. You were like, oh, you're not going to do all that. It's like, oh, I'm detaching. And it pushed you into your trauma. And the other side of trauma is the imagination. It pushes us, we're not present. We then put our mind and our energy towards something else that's going to make us feel better. That's a natural way, what the psyche does. And so it pushed you into that genius self, where that's why this person is being forced to look at themselves. Because, hey, if you would have reacted, then they wouldn't be looking at themselves. They'd say, oh, look, that person called me an asshole. See, I got underneath their skin. Or you see, that person's crying. Oh, see, I knew how much they loved me. You didn't do none of that. It's like you just disconnected, you know what I mean? And evolved up. And this person's like, what the fuck is that? It's like, well, now I like you, of course, because you have abandonment issues. It's like, if you want to go really deeper, so they're changing. Their whole internal dialogue is changing. That's why it's like, this person's not going to show that on the outside. They're going to act like they don't have a care in the world. Life is great, but it's a mask. I always felt I had a higher calling in life, and our connection brings me more clarity on it. So whatever it is that you're doing, it's like, again, you're in that supernatural mind. It's like, it's showing this person, like I said, I always felt I had a higher calling in life. And it's like, somehow you're showing this person how they could be. Because their relationships are fucked up, because they're the main equation in every single relationship that they've had. So they're bringing in half the crazy, at least. I believe that they're the crazy element that makes everyone else crazy in their relationships. And so really, you showing them like, well, I don't need to lose myself in you. I don't need you. See, this person deals with only lower consciousness, but that's codependency. So yeah, you have a person that's going to yes you, be your little slave, be your little sex doll, or man doll, women doll, whatever the fuck. It's, again, you're going to have all that, but you're not going to have a person of substance. It's going to feel empty. And emotionally, that person's going to expect of you. And this person doesn't have that emotional capacity. They're not smart in that area. They're not spiritual. They're, again, low vibrational. Came from that. It's like, that's all I knew. That's all that has ever been for me. I don't know why that it happens that way for me. It's like, I perceive that person is a good catch because they drove a nice car, they're wearing nice clothes. But that's not the way that you can tell a person is a nice person. It's again, it's a facade. Like, who they are, that's what they pretend. So they're not who they claim to be either. So they're seeing that, well, you really are the way that you are. And I kind of like that better. And so understand, it's like, yeah, the higher calling is the fact that you're in that supernatural mind, that they need to get out of that survival mind and get into the supernatural mind. That's going to bring them, because we incarnated together to clear specific patterns from our ancestral bloodline. So it's, again, how can you do that? Well, through unconditional love, through the co-creation process, through the universe. So you say, well, how is that? And Spirit says, be like childlike when you, again, are finding who you are and pouring into yourself, not trying to find somebody to pour into, about pouring into yourself. this to the point that you don't really need a relationship because you're so emotionally fulfilled. Doesn't mean that you wouldn't want one later, but it means that you're taking care of yourself. You're nurturing yourself. That needs to be done, because if you're attracting this person into your life right now, well, this person, like I said, is that not on a high enough vibration. It doesn't mean that they can't evolve into that. They're trying to, because again, you showed them a different way. That's helping them clear the ancestral patterns of, hey, marriage doesn't work, commitment doesn't work, relationships don't work. Everyone turns into the bad person. Everyone tries to everyone turns ugly. Like, again, well, they were ugly to begin with, and they're the ones that started it, but you didn't feed that. If anything, you leveled up. So again, the specific patterns for you could be too, having family that didn't make you feel safe, loved, nurtured, and then wanting that. And now here it is, you're connected to this person that there was a spiritual connection, but they didn't act like there was a spiritual connection. Well, there's all this shit underneath it. It's again, but the connection itself is making this person look deep inside of themselves. It's making you do certain things too, because it says we incarnated. So where Spirit's saying, well, this actually is like a very spiritual connection. It doesn't mean that you're going to like it. This was on the bottom. Our energy is stagnant. Triggers happen to break this stagnancy and help the energy flow again. So it's almost like this person has a really hard time communicating. It's that, which obviously would happen. Again, part of the ancestral could have been abuse, alcoholism, could be anything where you just didn't feel safe to be able to talk. Or this person was taught to lie, was always afraid to answer their parent. So part of clearing that energy is you have to communicate. You have to ask for what you need. You have to lay boundaries. You have to, commit to who you are and what you want. This person's used to being a people pleaser and then bailing out. It's like not really being a people pleaser, like a yes person, but then does what they want. And it's somebody that is very poor character. And so, understand energy is stagnant. So this person always, it needs to get to a place where you fight, because this person ignores everything. They're avoidant. They don't want to go deep. So it's like, okay, there's a problem, in which that problem usually is you feel you not getting what you need. And this person is like, oh, it's just going to go away, or I'll do better next time. And it's like, no, they're not conscious. And that's why it's like, well, then we fight and then things get better, which we have to fight though in order for things to get better. I have to trigger you. I'm going to do something to get underneath your skin so you'll talk to me. It's like, I know I'm not going to be vulnerable though. No, God forbid I'm vulnerable. God forbid I'm transparent. It's like, no, because I need to know how you feel first. It's like, which is that, again, I'm not allowed to show emotions. It's again, it's almost like this outdated thinking. I have to play this role. These feelings overwhelm me and I become afraid. Sometimes I even run away from you because of it. And that's what I'm saying, because the relationship makes this person go deep, but it's supposed to, because you wouldn't go deep to heal and to, clear ancestral shit, and you wouldn't do it unless there was a lot of unconditional love. But it's a relationship that's like, I'm always annoyed. I'm always pissed off. I'm always hurt. I'm always, and so that's what it would do. So you don't want to be in that. Surrender brings us together faster than resistance. So again, they know that they're, that they get in their own way. So what we see here is a very spiritual connection. Are they going to do anything at all? Because again, what we see here is a lot of things happening internally, but nothing is happening externally. You're like, okay, are they going to do anything? It's like, well, let's see. I'm like, what deck do I want to use? I have like all these new decks, and I'm like, which one do I want to use? I'll use this one. And then I'll use that one. All right, so let's see. You are the best thing that ever happened to me. So again, so you might be like, I'm the best thing that happened to you, but then this is the way that you treat me. Well, again, they think that they can't really fuck it up any worse than it is. Too, if I don't really come in and give 100%, we still have this connection. And I think also on a spiritual level, you're showing them how to live. You're showing them. It's again that you don't have to become subservient to somebody else's limitations and toxic behavior, or to give you breadcrumbs, unless you're not doing for yourself, to do for yourself, that you don't need to get triggered. And if somebody is going to needs a relationship to be full of drama, that it's not worth it. That it steals your energy. You're showing this person on a deeper level, like how to be, almost like they were never parented before. Almost like you don't do that. It's like you're like want to create the drama, but really what you're doing is you're avoiding. Someday I'll realize you are the one who got away. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, and they know that. They already know it. And they know it because it's like, you're like, I require you to step it up if you're going to be with me. And this person is like, the feelings are overwhelming. I have to clear a lot of ancestral shit in order to be with you. It's again, you don't know, the person has addictions, they have other things. So again, this is more like, again, like this, for some of you, if this person is with children, there's a sense of, I'm afraid to even be in a situation because it's going to affect, it's not just me, it's my child. And so, and I also just feel like this person tends to be very immature. And this is frozen heart. So almost like there is a real true connection, but this person has a frozen heart, and this empathy and warmth melts like the barriers, and there really is a true connection. It's not like there isn't, but that's why this person doesn't let you get that close, because they're not ready to do the work. Again, it's easier for them to stay on level, and we all have the free will to choose. So again, I would chalk this up to being more of a karmic connection, obviously. And so you say, well, great. So what the hell was that supposed to do for me? And so, well, obviously, if you're in the supernatural mind, you're creating your life, and that means things are happening. You're on a high vibration. Now, you might say, actually, nothing's happening. Well, there is always a space between what is sown to what is reaped, right? It's like we can't plant corn and then come out the next day and see corn. It takes a little time to germinate. Things are happening. Things happen faster in the spiritual realm of the mind than they do grounded. But again, mastery comes in doing, becoming yourself, finding yourself. And I feel like that's what you're doing. And so it's like little pieces, you feel like every day I plug away to try and make something happen, but I don't really, see that I get that much, but things are happening and the universe is watching and everything's in divine order. So there's a faith, and that's really what it is when you're in the supernatural mind. You don't know, but you don't logically know, because you'd be like, I'm looking at everything and there's nothing here, but I know that things are going to happen the way that they should be, that I'm supported, that I'm loved. And that's, again, outdoors in nature, connection to the physical body, the physical world, all physical elements of the physical world, healing the root chakra, feeling a connection. So again, when we have poor roots, right, there was no real connection to mother and father, meaning I had to figure it out on my own. because they didn't figure it out. So again, there were family patterns, and those family patterns were they had a hard time making money. They had a hard time, feeling safe and secure. They had a hard time. It's from what they grew up in. Remember, people grew up in war. They grew up on a plantation. They grew up, like, again, people grew up in all different phases of life in situations. Magic. So again, always being intuitive, always having spiritual gifts, always, again, but that doesn't mean that you knew how to utilize it. So again, a lot of times psychic ability when you're young can actually get in your own way. It's like there's many a lot of psychics such as myself. We have ADHD. We have a lot of problems learning in school because it's a different part of the brain. So it's not the left brain, it's more the right brain. And that, again, what we're advanced in, but try and go through school. Well, it feels like the number 7, and it's like, no, to do it. I tried to do it. And, but then what'll happen is you think that you're stupid. You think, and that trauma pushes you in, and again goes into that magic part of self, and that part is the imagination. If you can imagine it, you can create it. It's that you become highly sensitive. You become someone that internalizes a lot. So there's gifts in that, spiritual gifts. But as a kid, you didn't know that. If anything, there was a lot of self-sabotage. So not being able to trust your mind, growing up in an environment where you're told every day who you are, and not being really allowed to uncover who you are yourself. Like, that's an unfoldment process. So you either had parents that were very controlling, or they acted like they didn't give a shit at all. There was, again, and so the self-sabotage is just someone that gets in their own way. They can overthink and overdo. Like, a spiritual block is that. It's like the core belief is, I really don't believe I could have this. It's like, and that could be love that plays out in relationships, like that with this person here, that emotionally is like, no, I'm just going to give up. It's like, well, of course I would get that person. And spirit saying, again, that's what you feel because of, again, the environment that you grew up in. So that's the wound that I want you to look at. That's what I want you to identify with, because you don't need anything outside of you to be fulfilled. And you're like, no, because I didn't have roots. Couldn't really figure it out. And spirit says, but it's all inside of you. It's, again, the magic is that. But you need to ground yourself. You need to create the roots yourself. You need to reparent. Otherwise, the self-sabotage is, well, I'm always coming from my emotion, because where do I get my emotional fulfillment? I'm not pouring into myself. I believe that it's outside of me. That's not what happened here. It's like it might have happened in childhood, which is why you're getting the same lesson now, where you're like, well, I was taught to give, to fix, to do, to be the rescuer, to be that person, and that I wasn't emotionally going to get anything back. So there's a feeling like I can't really have that because I've embodied that, but that creates self-sabotaging behavior where you get in your own way. And that could be, I just care too much, where spirit says, yeah, the person needs to earn it and they don't like themselves that much. And here it is, you're giving them everything. So self-sabotage, it comes from that, which is really, again, the ancestral karma, the root chakra. Where do we hold on to anger is that. And over time, it turns into rage. Anger doesn't stay angry because we wind up accumulating a lot of other experiences that have the same karmic theme. So it's almost like I can't have. There's a feeling of lack where spirit says, don't abandon yourself for this person. They're not capable. The feelings overwhelm them. It's like, again, it doesn't mean that they don't like it sometimes. But I like it, but I don't. They're like, it's almost like this, like child, like energy. And so someone that would toy with you, someone that like would rather keep you in a lower vibration. where, hey, you connected to me, I'm not going to give you that much, I'm going to be in and out, and it's going to make you angry, and that makes me feel good. And you say, well, what the hell is that? That's someone that's angry. That's someone that's, it doesn't mean that they don't have feelings for you. It means that they're angry. 1, 2, 3, 4. We usually pull 6. I don't know why I was like called, but I want to pull like 2 from that deck too. Isolation, not getting support. What do children do when they go through a difficult time? It's like, and they don't have support, they go into isolation. It's like they have to heal on their own. And so again, being with this person at the time, again, made you feel like that, made you brought up anger, brought up rage, brought up, I go through everything by myself, but here it is. You want me to rescue you. You want me to be there for you. And see, at one time, maybe you wouldn't have noticed. You would be like, again, be somebody that came in at that lower vibration and said, well, this person, and only caring about their feelings, not what the person did in the past. Where you say, well, I don't want to be mean. It's not being mean. It's being true to yourself. Because here is suppression, and a suppression is also I'm going to suppress my feelings, my emotions, like what was right for me. I know that it was wrong, but I'm focused more on you. And that was a survival mechanism in a family dynamic. It's like, why? Because there was hard times. Maybe again, you had one parent that worked all the time. I didn't want to put the burden on. I didn't want to, we form a behaviorism out of love for the parent, but then it becomes automatic. You wind up in a similar relationship, one that's based on unconditional love. Those behaviorisms pop back up. And Spirit is saying, I brought you two together to see what those behaviorisms are. And you would have to not be with this person. Because again, and evolve out for them to look, to actually reap the karmic consequence. And that's why it was a divine connection. It's not like it's not, but you don't want to stay in this energy. It's like, no, they pushed you into finding their magic. Otherwise you would have been angry. You would have been it's a one-sided relationship, and it's really one that would keep me in a place of self-sabotage. And so you might have seen, again, one parent doing all the work. And so they were miserable. They stayed angry all the time because they were like, I don't get what I need. It's like, but that's a pattern. And it's because they entered into the relationship devaluing themselves by giving all their love, all their time, all their attention, everything to that person, instead of creating themselves, instead of being in the supernatural mind where we're creating ourselves. Now a person is able to come in to our life, and they know that you're not going to lose yourself in them, and vice versa, because it's also this person has feelings. They don't know how much to give. They grew up in an environment too where they overgave. So they have major commitment issues. So where really it's not about taking on those behaviorisms and traits, but they didn't really know how you couldn't. But obviously, if you're in the passion for life, you're living your life, and this person's living their life, but the unconditional love is what allows the relationship to actually work. So again, it's almost like this person gets it, but they get it sudden and they get it too late. It's again almost like love struck, right? Because it's like, I finally see it, but and I guess I wanted to see that because it's like, will this person eat their karma? And it's like, yeah, they will, because you're the one that got away. Do they know it now? No, it comes on sudden, and it comes on maybe a few months down the line when you're moved on completely with your life. And it's unexpected. It's like for this person, like all of a sudden they may be like out and then all of a sudden start crying, like for no apparent reason, or get into a bad mood, or they might have go to sleep and have a dream of you. Something happens that is unexpected that makes this person like have that awakening. Yeah, because it's like again, because you feel like home. But again, now their home changes because you're not, it's like they made that the reality, but they know that they could have had that with you. They know that they could have. It's almost like, but they blew it, and they blew it with all their games, and they needed to see that. And you actually needed to get into more of this energy to transmute the pain of the childhood wounds, realize that, yeah, maybe you grew up with parents that couldn't give you the way that you needed, but what you realize is they did the best that they could do, and you don't need that now, and it's not influencing your life now, because the universe, which is God, is the only thing that can change your mind and your heart. Because when you're interactive in your life in the energy of love, you're attracting new people, new situations, new experiences, everything to help you grow, everything to help you evolve into the best version of yourself, to help you actually revert back into your natural state, which is unconditional love. Because when you're in that state, you're in the higher self, and you're living your bliss, and life is easy. You're in the flow. And that's what this person noticed. They're like, your life is easy because you're in the supernatural mind. This person, again, self-sabotages themselves, and you're like, yeah, and I recognize that because I used to do that. And Spirit says, yes, but you don't need to save them now. It's again because you learned how to save yourself. And I feel like that was really the message here. And it was about returning to the heart. I breathe light and stick to the essentials of my own soul. The present moment, I calm my thoughts. I focus on my heart and find space to be where my light and greatness are. I find peace and inner silence. So in the silence, again, is how you can tap into the higher self, the same way as returning to the heart. And I think that it is about, when you grow up in an environment where there's a lot of ancestral karma, you're inheriting anger issues, you're inheriting shame, victimization, betrayal, you're inheriting behaviorism such as alcoholism and self-sabotaging behaviorisms. It doesn't mean that you don't love, but there's a sense that life is hard, and then there becomes a resentment over time, because why is life so hard, or why can't I have that? It's again with your normal things, because the ego says, well, that's normal, because that you should have a desire. It's like we wouldn't be able to create anything on earth. And Spirit says the dust part of self is essential. That's your ego. That's, it's going to make you do shit. It's going to make you want and desire things. But when a person keeps thinking that they can't have it because they keep getting in their own way, they have to become aware. So the universe always conspires to help us become aware. But it hurts when there's so much unconditional love that you have for someone, and then you're like, oh my God, like, why this connection? And really, Spirit says to help you return to your own heart, because we're blocking ourselves because of something that's happened. So I have to bring the karmic theme back into your consciousness for you to go back in time, per se, to get to that original wound, to make you look at it, to make you integrate it, which just means do something different. So you could shape shift the energy. There's many different realities that play out at one time. So you're actually quantum jumping from this place of lack and limitation into a place of unconditional love and bliss. That supernatural genius part of self is that God part of self, where life is easy, because you realize that you're not in charge of getting to where you need to be. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. That you're just doing what you love, and becoming the expression. And so you're getting your needs met. So it didn't mean that you didn't love that person still, but you were able to elevate yourself and realize that I need to love myself more than I love you, even though I do love you. But until you do some work, the relationship essentially would be doomed. There's a lot of people that know, that see the red flags and say, well, it's the only passion I have. So even though I know that it's such a bad relationship, I'm going to do it anyway. You didn't do that. You were like, no, I'm gonna like it's traumatizing that I have to walk away from this because I don't want to, but I'm gonna pour it into myself. And that's why this person has to eat the karma. That's why you're the one that gets away. That's why it's almost like delayed. Like this person is so arrogant that all of a sudden it comes out of nowhere, it hits them. And then they look at it. But by then you're like, I'm already evolved onto a different place, you jerk. Like you got to it too little and understand, because it's almost like you could have, and this person knows it has to live with that for the rest of their life, where you will become more of a magnet to more things that are more in alignment with who you are today and not the traumas of the past. All right, guys, I hope that helped. Anyone have any questions for me? As I said, I do not read comments while I am channeling because I can't do a different part of the brain, and so it's like, what is this, Diane? Okay, so these are not for me anyway. So anyone have any questions for me? If not, I am going to go, but I will be on later. I'm going to try and be on more often, help you guys. And if ever you guys have any topics or themes you want me to look into or talk about, feel free to shoot me an email. You can find that in the description box, though I'm going to have to, fill in everything because I didn't want you guys to have to wait with the no sound in the beginning. That always happens to me when I get excited. How do Scorpios and Aries get along in relationships? I feel like, listen, Aries from like, there's not a one size fits all. That's first of all. I believe like um, a lot depends on what your upbringing was, what your traumas were. However, I feel like Aries in general have a lot of fire to them, right? And Scorpios, we have like a lot of water and emotion. So I feel like they can get along, but but I always look at the traumas. I don't look at the zodiacs. And I'm going to tell you why. It's like, because I'm a Virgo, but everything underneath my sign is Scorpio, literally. And I'm more of a Scorpio than a Virgo. If anything, I need help in all the Virgo fucking things. I'm not organized. I wasn't a good student. I don't really give a shit about that. It's like those things. It's like, no, I don't actually even like Virgos, you know and so understand, I feel like if we are brought up in a certain environment, though, where we're conditioned to believe that we're not worthy, that we're not, you know then what happens is the relationship never gets off the ground because you're continuously getting triggered, then we have habits and behaviorisms that are triggering each other. Like said, I feel like it has more to do with that, because if you really love somebody, when you love somebody, you like someone, they could be like, they could be anything. They could be any zodiac. And you'd be like, well, I like effort, and so that's what I'm saying. It's like I look more at now where other people, like I have a good friend that I actually worked with. Her name's Rebecca Gordon, and she like is number one like astrologer for all like the books, like when I say Cosmopolitan and like all the magazines, and has been doing it for years. I mean, goes back and forth from New York to like she goes to France all the time, and like she's very well known is what I'm trying to get at. And she would be able to break it down for you. That's not my thing. I look at things more again from the psychological and the emotional, transpersonal psychology, because I just feel like if you really like somebody, um, you know, you're going to make it work, even with the Gemini. How Geminis have the, like, who are you going to be today, Gemini? You can be this pair person or you can be this person. They're moody. So it's again, which makes it hard. I actually have a Gemini moon, which again, which means that I'm flaky emotionally. I like you today, I might not like you tomorrow, depending. It's like, so, like it depends, but I'm actually a very highly sensitive person that isn't really like that because I grew up with trauma of not getting enough love. So if anything, I always overgave. So I think a lot has to do with that. But you can probably look at it like from the astrology, someone that really is good. I get the way they, yeah, it's like that. I just feel like that. It's like, though we look for answers because it's like, why are you so fucked up? Is it because you're an Aries? Like it's like that's like being like, I know you're fucked up. Is it because your hair is red? It's like we try and look for the answers when really it's to understand what the person went through. And not because you want to change them, but because it's easy then to be like, well, that doesn't belong to me. That actually belongs to you. You need to take that. Why was it affecting me? Okay, let me work on how it was affecting me so that I can integrate that spiritual lesson so that I don't resonate with this energy anymore. So that I notice it, because guess what? It'll come to me a few times. The universe will make sure that I pass this test. The difference is that by the third time it happens, I don't have an emotional reaction one way or the other. I didn't even notice. I just swatted it away. Like, nope, don't want it. It's like opposed to, what does this have to do with me? Why do you make me feel this way? You know what I mean? It's all about how it affects you, because we form habits and behaviorisms that are going to be in alignment with how it affected us. And if someone was obnoxious, if someone was like, treated you like crap, and you really like this person, that's what would happen. You know what I mean? You would then a lot of times overcompensate, overgive, overdo, and you don't need that. It's like I said, so it's more or less paying attention to what a person's behaviorisms are and habits are, and then how it affects you. And then instead of ripping that person's head off, which is a lot of times what we want to do, it's more or less to do the deep dive and journal and do a reframing exercise to ask ourselves, why are we feeling what we're feeling? It's like, and understand, then change, because it's not about changing the person, because you want to, if someone's triggering you, it's not about reacting. It's more or less about changing you, so that automatically makes the person you're dealing with change. That's it. It's like, because you can sit there all day long and say change, 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 or you get triggered and react, and you're not going to get what you want. So that's my take on it, is pay attention to how that person is making you feel instead of the zodiacs. However, like I said, go over to Rebecca Gordon's channel. I don't even know if she has a channel, because she's a fabulous astrologer, and people can break it down, but I think it's too complicated, because then it's like, well, yeah, but if your rising sign and if your fourth node or whatever the fuck it is like, there's a lot, like, you have to be very smart to like know astrology and memorize it and study. And that part of my brain doesn't work. I don't have a memory. So it's like I just channel. Family tree plays a big role. I grew up watching my dad do the same stuff by person. Right. Well, that's what it is. It made an imprint on your brain. So this is family karma. This was probably your story, like family karma. And when you live in that experience, it's about making you aware of what those behaviorisms are. What you're doing, Mrs. Mimi, is about what you're doing, not about what your dad did, because we can get caught up in the story and get caught stuck in the story where that adds a lot of anger. It feeds our anger. So you don't want to do that. You want to, again, become the witness. So you might need to breathe through it. You might need to, like, again, take a little time to digest like what's happening. People journal, do reframing exercises to say, what how is this person making me feel? How did I react to that in childhood? And what can I do to integrate the spiritual lesson? Because once you change, your person will change. It's the actual dynamic of the connection that makes that connection work, and that's the thing. So you may be like, well, I don't want to do that because then like he acts like he doesn't care. So at least I get that he at least cares about me this way, where no, eventually you would be forcing this person to change. So there might be a space where this person is like, now I don't know how to deal with you. But if there's real unconditional love, then they're going to figure out a better way to deal with you. So I feel like it's that, like, you have the power to shape shift the energy, but you have to be strong enough. It's all about stepping into your true sense, true self. However, remember, when you do that, then you're not going to be on the same vibration anymore, and you're not going to want to be connected to this person. And that's how this reading started. Because when you evolve to do what you need to do to deal with this person, you evolve right out of the person's life. So, and that's why it's, again, why you say, okay, yeah, so my dad already knows. So the writing's on the wall. It's like, and when the writing's on the wall, it's like, it means that we have to follow suit because we already know. So you have to say, I'm still holding on to this, though, because it couldn't play out unless you were. So it's again, you need to do shadow work in that. Yeah. Okay. So wait a minute. I dip in astrology, but I resonate with your. Yeah. I mean, astrology is great. Like, I mean, you have to be smart. Like I said, I'm not that smart. Like when it comes, you have to have a good memory. I don't have a good memory. ADHD. It's like I try and remember something. It's like, oh, forgot it. Like 2 minutes after, like it's told to me. You're clear when you channel. You're just clear. Like Rebecca's smart. Rebecca is a true Virgo. She is like detail oriented, really, like, one of those people that have everything perfect. I'm not that way, clearly. I'm the person that came on and there's no sound. There's no sound. Yeah, I'm that person. So it's like where it's like I got yeah, gotta get back off and get back on. Do a little bit more work. It's just the way it is. I'm fine with it. It's a process, right? It's a process, and I accept that because I get excited. Then that's like God's way of being like, nope, you forgot to set this up. Like it's like you just can't let me have my fucking moment, can you? No. So it's all about grounding. All right, guys, I'll be on later. So you always feel free to leave me comments and tell me what you want me to focus on. I like it, like when you guys are interactive. I love your comments. Keep them coming back. Thanks for the love. Thank you, Mose. Thank you, everybody. Bye.